Hello again, this is the Man in the Shack. This is the third part of the video tour of my Xcom2 G.I. Joe hybrid thing here. In this video, I wanted to look at character creation, and I figured the best way to do that is to just go ahead and do a guy that I haven't done yet. And looking down my list, the first guy that I can do that isn't done yet is Frostbite. So we're going to make Frostbite today. Frostbite's from I think from 1985, 85 I think, pretty sure. Anyway, to create every guy, this is pretty much how it goes. It gives you a random person at first, right? So the first thing I always do is, well, I've got it. You can't see it, but I've got it kind of pulled up on my tablet here separately. I've got a couple of things. One, I've got just a Google image, Google images of G.I. Joe Frostbite, right? And you get a bunch of, pictures of the figure, pictures of him from the comic, pictures of, artwork, things people have done, and so forth. So I've got a bunch of reference of, how he's supposed to look, just in general, right? Of course, there's no, there's hardly a definitive thing. I mean, if you sort of think of it, you could say, oh, sure, the figure is a definitive thing. But there's multiple editions of most of the figures, so what's right? So it's like in a lot of these cases, I'm just going with, ultimately, it's like what feels the most right. But when we're looking at this, there's a starting point. The other thing that's important is the file card. Which has all, that is where I'm going for the actual, that's the most reliable information, right? I go all the way back to the file card that was on the boxed figure at the beginning, with the first time it came out, right? And Frostbite, well, I had the Snowcat. You better believe I had the Snowcat. Yeah, he was 85. So I had Frostbite when he first came out, too. And I had that file card, and I had that thing cut out, and I had it stuffed in the box with the rest of them, and man, I wish I still had those things. Anyhow, like I say, I'm mostly informed from the file card, that's where we start. So I've got that pulled up too, and where that is if you go to a website called 3djoes.com, they have this really fantastic. Just this big, what they call a Rolodex of the file cards, and it's images, like really good, high quality images of every file card, grouped by year, sorted alphabetically. That list is kind of what I was using as the genesis of my own list, in terms of that had most of the information that I wanted in kind of the order that I wanted it. In other words, I too am going year by year, and well, let's look at it. If you look at this, I'm going year by year, and then alphabetically code name within that year, right? So here are our 13 guys, minus Hawk, who's not in this list, right? Is at the bottom of this list right now, but there's 13 guys here. This is 1982, right? Breaker, Clutch, Flash, Grunt, G, G, R, S, 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 Z, right? So, so when Hawk comes in, I'm going to put him right in there. Or wait, H, G, H. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he would go there. So, so that's how those work. This guy is our new guy. So I'm going to go into start. First name is Farley. Last name Seward. Now, everybody knows the joke in this name, right? Just like Cutter's name is Skip a Stone. Well, in 1985 and 1984 and 85, Larry Hama was starting to get a little funny. He was always funny. He was doing stuff right from the beginning. There were jokes and names from issue 1 of the comic. There is a joke and a name that I'll cover at a different time that is that I just realized doing while I was doing this, and I was just tickled pink when I realized it. But that guy hides jokes everywhere. Now, Seward Farley, Seward's Folly. Uh, Alaska is where this guy's from. Nationality. He is. All these guys are from the United States, aren't they? Just about damn near all of them. I do wish that they weren't all from the United States. I wish they weren't all just fucking just all white guys. It's embarrassing, right? Because like there should be more diversity. It is what it is, and like I've been careful to stay true to what's there, but it'd be nice if I could have especially because I'd like to take advantage of some of these awesome voices and stuff, and just in general, it's cool to have an international team. And there's Action Force and stuff, and that's been suggested to me, and I read Action Force, way back in the day because we would get English comics too, and or at least that one. The idea of having a lot of the team members be from other places is it's intriguing, and there is a historical precedent for it. I mean, after all, it did come out back then. But in the end, this is I'm doing Larry Hama's version, so this is it's going to be what it is. So Seward's Folly was what they called basically. What is it? Alaska? Was it the purchase of Alaska? Was it Bering Strait stuff? There was a. It's a reference to an Alaskan thing, and since Frostbite is a character that is from Alaska, let's see, nickname Frostbite. So yeah, his name is a joke. Seward Farley S is his name. Seward's Folly. It's all a pun. Okay, so and the biography is where we put file card information. Now, when you look at a file card, and if you've pulled up the 3D Joes, you can look at it and see that we've got his job title, Snowcat Driver, completely inapplicable here, right? For most of these things, there's no Snowcat in this, game, as much as I wish there was. So the fact that his job is Snowcat Driver is irrelevant. I leave all of that stuff off of the file cards because we've got a limited amount of information in this biography. I haven't done that. We can get like 1,000 characters. Some number of characters, several hundred characters that you're allowed to put in here. I don't know what it is. I never counted it out. But it's less than what's on the file card. I'll tell you that. And what's on the file card is you got the job title, you got he's a Snowcat Driver, and you got the code name Frostbite, right? And then when you've got the sort of the indexing information, which is the file name, right? Seward Farley S. His serial number, which I'm leaving off because it's extraneous. Primary military specialty, which I'm not leaving off. Secondary military specialty, in which case his is our motor vehicle driver and armor. Those things are going to inform what sort of job he will have on in this game, because he's he's a driver. We don't have a car, so we've got to think for him something else to do. And then his birthplace of Galena, Alaska, and then his grade E4, which is his rank. Rank is again irrelevant in this game because each one of these soldiers is going to advance from rookie to colonel, which is the top of the rank tree, and all of that stuff gets left off. So we can take down the entire first part, the whole first part of the file card gets done to this. It becomes primary military specialty motor vehicle driver. Now we can put this, even though it's, I want it to be accurate, even though he's not really a motor vehicle driver and he's going to just carry a gun and go be on the ground, but I want it to be correct. So, secondary military specialty armor. Birthplace Galena, Alaska. Okay, so the the fact that I could say PMS and SMS and save a bunch of characters has not escaped me. I did the first batch of them like that, and I like the way it looks like this better, so screw it. In the end, most of the file cards have, you know, well, they have two major sections. They have one which is sort of biographical information and why they got onto the team. And then there is a second part, which is flavor, a quote about them that somebody else says, or just some thing that you could see that their commander's sort of scribbled in there to, that sort of gives a bit of their personality and so forth. So both of these things exist, and many times, I have to edit them because there's there are numerous things that things that don't fit, or one, I'm editing for space. Two, I don't want references to G.I. Joe and Cobra specifically because this is XCOM, so I'm disguising it a little bit, so I rephrase things from time to time, and often I have to make the choice between, whether I'm going to just do the entire quote or a bit from both. Generally I like to have some of the flavor quote in, almost always, because that's the more interesting part. But it kind of depends. So let's take a look at this, as I'm just going to read it real quick. Frostbite was born in a place where summer is a myth and a crowd consists of two people standing on the same acre. He worked briefly as a lineman on the pipeline, but found the job unchallenging despite the 40-degree below temperature and hazardous conditions. The Army promised to give him a challenge whenever he wanted one. Frostbite graduated from Transportation School, Fort Eustis, and Armored School, Fort Knox. Qualified expert, M16, M1911A1 auto pistol, M250 cal MG, and M60 7.62 millimeter MG. And then the flavor text. Frostbite has to be cool. This is a quote. Frostbite has to be cool. The environment he works in is too unforgiving. If his snowcat throws a piston, he's got to step out into weather that'll freeze a hex wrench to bare skin in 5 seconds and carry through a repair job that would be taxing under ideal conditions. He can't afford to panic, not if he wants to stay alive. So, there's a couple of interesting parts. I like the first part of the main text. All of the stuff about the every guy qualified expert, yada, and like some guns. I'm as much as I love G.I. Joe, I'm not a gun guy. I know what these things are, but it's not, I don't go all crazy over over that. If it's basically right, is kind of like how I look at it. But anyway, all of the stuff about the specific guns, it's too boring for this. Also, when we look in the flavor text, it refers to his snowcat. I don't want to refer to the snowcat, so I'm going to probably leave that part out. I'm gonna put in this first part of the main text, of the bio text, and see how far I get. Because I think the whole first bit, I may not put in the which schools he went to. Well, let's see. Frostbite was born in a place where summer is a myth and a crowd consists of two people standing on the same acre. He worked briefly as lineman on, should be a lineman. Briefly as lineman? Is this a typo on the original file card? Worked briefly as a lineman on the pipeline. Wichita, Alaska. But found the job unchallenging despite the 40 below. I'm not going to try to put the degree sign in there. 0. I believe this is all just plain ASCII, so I'm not even going to worry about it, and I'm not going to worry about the degrees. When we say 40 below, everybody knows we're talking about temperature. 40 below 0. Oops. Temperatures. Oh, hey, we even say temperatures. And hazardous conditions. I suppose I should say degrees Fahrenheit, but whatever. The Army. I will talk about the Army. I will, like, I do kind of acknowledge that these guys are in the Army, or, you know, alternatively that, you know, the Marines are in the Marines and so forth. So I'll acknowledge their branch. I'm just not saying G.I. Joe or Cobra and so forth. I call them, you know, the enemy, or, you know, whatever. Or I would refer to the team, you know, rather than G.I. Joe. Anyway, the Army promised to give him a challenge whenever he wanted one. Alright, so I've still got some room. Frostbite has to be cool. The environment he works in is... Yeah, see, look at that. That's the end. I've got a leftover line, but I'm not even going to worry about it. That's enough. Okay, so now we've got all the biographical information, all the actual name, pun and all, the nickname, the biography, which you can see there, nationality, and he's a male. Okay, so that's character info. Now the next thing we're going to do is, you know, Frostbite is another plain old white dude. Let's make him... Oh gosh, he's pale. Because he spends all of his time in the snow and he's covered up head to toe. So he's as pale as can be. And his hair is not a mohawk. His hair, I believe, he would keep either. A great amount of my guys, there's a few of these things. Okay, so the way this stuff works... Let's back up here. The way this works is there's all these options, some of which we looked at. Here's this thing about being the soldier. Oh, let's change that now. He could be a VIP because that's the one, remember, that we want to, you know, we don't want him to show up as a rookie, so we do that. Oh, also we can soldier class him, and we can say, see, here's all the classes. I got a bunch of them. Got a bunch of them. There's more than 4. The Snowcat's a huge thing, and I tend to make the guys that are like driving the tanks and the big things that are full of missiles and stuff, I'm tending to make them grenadiers because they're just like, they're full of destruction. They've got the most destructive capability, a giant vehicle with a giant tank, you know, thing that has missiles on skis, man. If I had missiles on skis as a weapon in this game, I would use that, but, you know, the best thing I can do is to say, well, he's got a giant gun and he's got a giant grenade launcher, and well, so we're going to go with the vanilla grenadier and call that what he is. The other thing I do at the beginning is we added the attitude. I always try to make the attitude about like the guy, you know, about how the guy is going to actually be, right? What kind of guy is Frostbite? Is he, you know, is he by the book, which is, you know, a guy like, you know, like Duke, or somebody like the soldiers. The soldiery guys are always by the book, right? Duke, Scarlet, those ones. The guys like, you know, like Breaker, or for example, or the guys that are, you know, a little more, you know, well, laid back. They're laid back. Laid back is where I leave it for character creation purposes, only because they're holding the gun up and you can see the entire torso, right? So this actually gives me the best view of what I'm gonna see as I'm creating Frostbite. You know, there he is. And the other one's, of course, normal, right, which is pretty normal. Twitchy, which I reserve for very few guys because I don't like the idea of a twitchy GI Joe. But some of these, some of them really fit. Well, you know, I'll tour through all the guys later, and you see who's twitchy and who's not. Happy-go-lucky. There's a couple of those too. Not too many. You know, again, it's I'm not trying to have everybody, you know, have everything be crazy. I'm trying to keep things on a fairly even keel, right? These are soldiers, they're army guys, and by and large, they're mostly by the book or laid back. Hard luck, hardly any of them. There's a couple of them, but hardly any. And tense, that's another good one. I like that one a lot, but it's you know, again, I don't want to. I want to have this sort of be the default state of the guy, right? So intense is going to be a guy who's mean and who's ready for a fight all the time, and I don't think that's Frostbite so much. I'm going to kind of go with normal for him because Frostbite is unfortunately one of the guys that's not characterized all that well, right? You know. I think he's got, you know, like he was, to me, it was like Frostbite was more kind of wrapped up in his vehicle. And there were a few stories and so forth where it was all the snow guys together, right? Like Snow Job and Frostbite and Iceberg and Blizzard and, you know, and like if you kind of put all of them together, hey, you've got a whole snow team, which is awesome. And there were stories like that. So, like, it's cool, you know, and I like the idea of, in this game, what if we have a place where we're going to go to a snow thing? I'd like to have all four of those guys on my team. I would like to have a team that is like those four guys, and you know, like, and have them go out and fight a mission. That's part of the joy of this thing, is being able to put together, you know, the right combinations of guys or whatever. So anyway, generally I'm going to leave him normal, and that's what he's going to be. But for purposes of making it, like I said, I want to be laid back so that I can see his torso. So voice, he's no longer from the UK. So we've got, you know, I've got the 10. God, I've got the 10 basic American voices that we're sharing amongst all of these guys, pretty much. There's these other languages. There's some other voice packs that I've downloaded. I'm by and large not using them yet because they are. I'm keeping them for specific purposes. I'm basically, you know, that's something that's still evolving, is the voice. But in the case of, you know, in the case of a guy that is
moving, will do. Already there. Roger that. Getting it done. Solid copy. Getting it done. Double time. Moving out. Solid copy.
It's that one. There's some of these American voices that are like,
will do.
Like, that's, let's see.
Getting it done. Go, go, go. I'm all over it.
Leader type.
Solid copy. Got it. Got it covered.
Sarcastic guy.
Stepping off. 10-4. Move, move, move.
Slightly
moving. Double
on
time.
the job intense guy. That's the one I'm going with.
Got it. I'm all over it. On it. No need to ask twice. Go, go, go. Got it covered.
There's some guys that, you know, that's a more laid back guy. That's like Breaker is that guy, I think.
Roger that. Will do. On it. Affirmative. Location confirmed. Copy that.
No, that's another fairly generic one that I want to go with.
Copy that. Affirmative. Moving out. Stepping off.
Sort of breathless guy. I think that's Duke, actually.
Copy that. Will do. Getting it done. On it. Good to go.
Slightly deeper voice, slightly bigger
Rolling
guy.
out. Affirmative. Got it covered. Affirmative. Location confirmed. Roger that. On the move. Getting it done. Got it. 10-4. Got it covered. Stepping off.
See, when we're looking at 8, I'm pretty sure that's a black guy.
Will do.
10's definitely a black guy. And these are both really good, like, terrific voices for you know, for the ones. But like, I want to make sure that like I get the, you know, that I get the voices sounding right. So like this,
I'm all over it.
that's Roadblock for sure, right?
Stepping off.
And that
Rolling out.
And
go,
this,
go, go.
like, not quite so deep, but still a black dude. That's like Stalker, right, or something like that, right? So,
will do.
You know, that's kind of how I'm looking at it. You know, those are the choices that I'm left with, man. You know, I like really wish there were better ones. I really wish that there was like a guy that was clearly from New Jersey, so I could make that clutch. You know, or like a guy that's, you know, that's like there's, oh my God, that guy's got a Boston accent or whatever, and make that guy for, you know, that's barbecue or whatever. You know, there's like, and so that's when I, you know, when I explore kind of the ones, you know, these kind of extra ones that I've got down here. A lot of times I'm looking for voices that are distinct like that, a regional voice, right? Oh my God, I so badly need Wild Bill to not sound like he's from the Midwest, right? He needs to be like Wild Bill in particular needs to be really, really from Texas, that sort of thing. And oh yeah, of course, the most important one of all, right there, yeah. Snake Eyes was so weird for so long until that one came out, and then Mute one came out, and then it was like, okay, it's cool. But for purposes of this, I want to go with regular old soldiery doing white guy.
Got it covered.
Dude. This is Frostbite. So he's from Alaska. I don't know what Alaskan people sound like. Sorry, Alaska. Didn't mean that. So the faces. There are amongst white guys. There are 6, 7. Right, these are like 0 to 6. Right, the face 6. That was this was one that got added in by a mod not long ago. This was sort of a test face, I think, a demo face that they had inside the game. It was sitting there, and goes. So I've gotten to know these faces pretty well because they're my only choices. And like I said, I've got 100 and odd guys so far, and a vast majority of them are white. And so I have to, I've had these 6, 7 faces to choose from. I'm going to go with him. I'm going to go with generic face because I've got that on the fewest guys at this point. But generally, you've got a leader face, you've got a smart guy face, you've got a tough guy face, you've got another sort of mid-range face, you've got another I don't know, different ones, like a more angular featured guy, and then you've got the guy that looks that I think looks kind of young, and so I'm using different ones in different places for different effects and so forth. So with this guy, face 6, that could be him. Let's change his hair. Let's get rid of that. That looks weird. So his hair, short, simple short. I don't use brushed up short too much because it looks like he's, I don't know, looks like he's got something in his hair or something. Most of these guys are doing this. They're wearing helmets, right? I'm not like a few guys I have like in ponytails and stuff, but by and large, like I said, these are army soldiers. They're not having stuff. I don't think he's doing that. Definitely not a man bun. I got a couple of guys I put man buns on because they're assholes. But let's see. Flat top, no. I like parted a lot. That's one of my favorite ones. Yeah, and all these ones down here, it starts to, they get a little more outlandish when it gets down to these, these add-on things. This was from the anarchist thing, so this is definitely not, he's not Harley Quinn. We're doing. I think I'm just gonna go with short, regular old short. The thing is, I'm gonna put some stuff on top of this guy, but I'm always building him like a good model. I'm building it from the inside out. Though his helmet will most likely be on all the time, and in the game I'm never even going to see him without it, I want him to be right. So the other thing that he's got is he's got a big black beard, and there are a few, there's quite a few options for facial hair. Not enough mustaches in my opinion. There should be different, there should be more mustaches, but there are different. I like that there are different levels of them. The shorter ones and so forth. He's not a scrappy beard, but Frostbite is a full beard guy. So we've got scrappy beard, we've got let's see, scruffy beard, and then we've got thick beard. And for Frostbite, deep in the snow, oh, you better believe he's a thick bearded man. There's there's a few of them that I use. I try to like the full bearded guys, right? There's not too many of them. I try to differentiate them. I try to make them make sense. That it's that it's going to be kind of like the right thing. Now his hair color is already right. I actually like I like that this secondary dark one. There's a range of darks, and it's pretty subtle. This is the most this is like black hair, but this one that he was on that's a good one. Whoa. So let's go to eye color, and again, brown eyes. Most of the guys plain brown eyes. It's all like that's great for like some science fiction-y freaky thing, but this we're going with regular old people here. So he's got brown eyes. Now, all right. So now, clothing aside, that kind of looks like Frostbite. Let's see, we can do about, let's see, race and main armor color. Oh yeah, at this large level, then we've got three other options here, which are the skin color, the race and the skin color. Of course, they go together. The hair and the eye color, they do that. And the facial hair and the hair, all of this, that's sort of that stuff, right? All the stuff about the face, and then the stuff about the armor. So main armor color, well, Frostbite is two colors. Frostbite is white, and he's like this sort of, well, that's pretty close. This sort of tan, right? Let's leave it as that, right? So we've got a main armor color and a secondary armor color. We may switch around how we deal with these things. We might switch positions with them. The other thing is weapon color, and when it comes to weapon color, I always give it a weapon color so that it doesn't have just the generic default. With them, I try not to be outlandish with them. I figure we want to keep these semi-realistic, and especially with the guys that are the drivers of things, I kind of like I almost think of the weapon as their weapon as their vehicle, right? So what does a snowcat look like? It's kind of, it's snow colored. I'm going to give it one of these, one of these kind of medium grays or whatever to make it feel, okay, maybe this thing is a snowcat. I could go in later and rename his weapon inside the game. Like you can do that. You can name the weapons inside the game. Maybe you can go in and call his gun Snowcat or something. There you go. That's, I'm not going to do that, but you can. So I think we're into props now. Alright, so helmets and hats. Now I got lots and lots and lots and lots of mods, like I said. I do everything that I can possibly do to get a mod that could result in another helmet or some other, way of doing this or whatever. Then I'm getting those things. And of course these are all they've recently done this. They've added in a little thing so you can see which add-on and add-on content this came from or whatever, right? And these all came from that anarchist thing with all the mohawks and so forth. So a bunch of outlandish looking things. None of those are correct. Uh-oh, goggles. That's not too bad. We're gonna need goggles for Frostbite. Let me pull up his I'm gonna pull back up the thing on my deal here. Hang on. Alright, taking a look at his image. He's got a hat, which is a hat, and the hat is not a beanie, but it's like a wool hat or something, or it's like a cold weather hat of some kind. And now the thing is, as far as heads go, we've got different options. There are three parts basically. You've got a helmet / hat, then you've got an upper face prop and a lower face prop. And in order to get him to feel right and to get all of the things in place, you have to combine them sometimes in some different ways. Now, the hats generally, let's see, that'll be good when we get to Blizzard. I still haven't used the ski mask actually, but Blizzard will be the guy I use it on. let's see. We're not helmets. We don't need helmets, but that we do need. We need the ballistic goggles on the head. That's the one that it's going to be. However, I'm going to have to see if I can get that through the upper face prop, because what he needs more than he needs goggles on his head is a hat. And I'm pretty sure that it's going to be the beanie for him. Even though, like I said, what he's really got is a cold weather cap. But, see, that's going to look right. There are, you know, let's see. There's 1,000 helmets from Reach. The Halo helmets. They're hardly ever useful for this purpose. Yeah, it's the beanie. Okay, so upper face prop. Now we're hoping that we can find the ballistic goggles. There it is. Okay, no. Goggles on eyes, no. No, no, no. No, 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 no. See, that could work. There's the ballistic goggles on the eyes. See, what I need is the ballistic goggles on the head at this level, so that I can combine that with the things that are on there. As for now, we don't actually have that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give him the ballistic goggles, because I do like them. I'm going to give it to him, but he's wearing them. And we're going to have to go with that for now. I think we can do better. I think we can put those goggles on his head at some point, and I think that, you know, eventually there will be some sort of mod that allows us to do that. I've seen talk of it before. The idea of combining, you know, of having goggles that sit on the head like that, you know, as other things. So, you know, I feel confident that at some point I'll be able to go in and revise him. And that's what I do, is like, you know, make a guy as best as I can, and then I revise him if I have to. Alright, so now we're on to the armor. Let's see. We're going to go with the torso first. Now, the reason he looked so fucked up is because he was using the, it was one of those resistance armors. There's different combinations of armors that work and some that don't. This would probably be not a good look for him right here in the snow. Most of the guys are these first four, though. These are the ones that sort of came with the vanilla game. And then this is the stuff from the first, you know, from the anarchist downloadable content. And then there are, you know, the sort of the upper tier plated things and stuff, which I'm by and large not using, because none of, you know, the Joes don't look all high tech, right? The Joes are supposed to look kind of like regular, you know, regular soldiers. So we get down past all these, and here's all these resistant ones, or resistance ones that are just, you know, like kind of crappy armor, right? These get used in a few places. That one's actually pretty good. And then there's these couple. Sorry, then there's the Advent armors, which are the enemy in the game, right? Of course. And these two I like a lot. I use these for, you know, guys who really need really bulky things. And then there are sort of reverse color scheme versions of the first armors, which are incredibly useful. And then there's this one set which is BDUs, which are really nice, but I only use those very sparingly. A lot of times they have this, you know, this sort of thing where they kind of clash with the other armor pieces and so forth, so they're not perfect. And these are alternate versions of the downloadable content. So, with him, I think he's just one of the regular old guys, right? And so with these, I kind of pick the torso that is going to feel the best. Most of the time it's going to be covered by the gun, so you don't really see the torso so much. However, it needs to feel generally right, and the shoulders need to feel right. And of the original, or of this set, we've got this one, which is sort of the open chest thing. There's no, there's not like pouches and stuff on it, right? Would use this for people who need to have an armored feel in the front, like tripwire, or or who have like the big chest armor stuff, right? Or sort of from some, maybe the more high-tech guys might have something that looks like this. And then there's the sort of the recon armor like this, which is the light, light shoulders and stuff. It's got this, that pattern, that mesh pattern on there that I'm not really all that much of a fan of. I would prefer it if it was just, if it was just plain, but whatever. I deal with what I got. And then but this is sort of a light version of the armor, and then sort of a regular middle version. But notice the difference here. Pouches sideways, pouches vertical. Pouches sideways, pouches vertical. So that's an important distinction. And here, again, we got vertical pouches. And this is the big bulky one, the one that I'm going to go with for him, because this looks like, just a big, I don't know, there's extra material on here, right? And I want him to feel as thickly covered as possible. So, he's torso 3. And then we're going to go, now the arm, okay. You got arms, left arm, right arm. This left arm, right arm thing, you can customize the individual arms, but it's only with these particular things, right? You can't go particular left arm with the generic things and particular right arm with the generic things. That's what arms is for. So I'm going to go into arms, and I'm going to find the thing that is, what we're going to use on him. Now, there's this big, thickly padded ones. I like these a lot, especially for guys like this. That may be what I go with. There are, and then there's a number of them which are sort of these mismatched, right? One arm is like, one arm is this way, and one arm is this way, right? One rolled up sleeve. And that's how a bunch of those original ones are. And there's these weird things with the wraps and stuff to make, like, I has resistance armor or whatever, it's like that's, I don't know. I mean, it looks like, he looks like Ray. Like that. It's like, I don't know how those things stay on, but, then there's the more advanced sort of things that go along with the tier 2 and 3 armors and so forth, all kinds of crazy stuff. Again, none of this looks right, really. Like, I mean, these guys aren't robots. This isn't the first live action film. Let's see. Oh yeah, and every now and then there's armless guy. This is just a peccadillo of some of the way some of these things work, to where they have to have like a blank one, because this would actually be like if you were using, for instance, resistance armor or certain things like that. It covers the entire thing, right? The entire suit, and so you would actually put it on this sort of blank arms, because the arms would be covered by a different piece. That's, yeah. And so here are the arms from the Advent, again, more high-tech looking. I use these in a few places, but not for him. And then we get down into my favorite part, which is the rearranged arms of the originals, to where they've got the same thing, like they're mirrored arms, to where like the same thing on both sides. So if we wanted him in his Ray costume or whatever, then it's the same arm on both, the same design on both arms. This is a good one. No, he can't be. And then the short sleeved ones, and then this BDU one. I like this long sleeve thing. The texture on it isn't, they're like that BDU set. It doesn't quite match, but oh my gosh, it's such a cool design. And I like these short sleeves on a few guys, but here we really need him to be thickly covered. So I think we'll go with the padded arms, the big padded arms. All right, and then legs. Here we have the original set of legs, these 4, 0, 1, 2, 3. And then these are like the downloadable content, things that would not be a good look in the snow. Again, this is the anarchist ones, right? The dreadnoks get things like this, right? Frostbite is a regular old soldier, so he's gonna have some legs that look like he's a real person in the, you know, well, you know what I mean, a real soldier. Ooh, there's the no legs having. And then the big armored legs of the Advent. There's a couple of guys that get these things. Like this, you know, that set of legs, that looks pretty good on Deep 6, right? There's a big armory set. But, you know, maybe I'll go with this one. But I like these ones. These two right here, those are my favorite ones. I like to, most of the guys get those. And there's that set that goes with the BDUs, that plain set. That's not right. I am going to go with the big armory set. That way, you know, he's just going to wear as much padding as possible. That's Frostbite. So, now there are other things. Upper face prop we already did. Lower face prop, I could, you know, put this stuff on him. He doesn't have other things, or he doesn't really have Frostbite. I mean, it doesn't have, you know, other stuff. But like, see, we can put these masks on this stuff and like that. You know, he's not wearing any facial jewelry. But you know, see, look here. I could put the ski mask on, you know, and I could have this on as well, right? Now, when it comes time to do Blizzard, that's going to be really handy. Let's see. We don't need any of those things. So Frostbite. So now, let's look at it and say, and play around with this. Secondary armor color. See what's changing? Is that stuff. Now, Frostbite has, ideally, would have a big, this area here would be the secondary color, right? Let's see if we can go back into props, go to the torso. That's torso 3. So we look at the, oh damn it! See, sometimes they reset like that. They reset when you redo the torso. That's okay. It only takes a second. Okay, so this is the reverse color version of that same torso. Let's go back in. Legs, he was legs, let's go with legs 0. And I think what we're going to want to do is reverse, I think we're going to reverse our colors. And then arms, 0. So we go back, and then we've got main armor color and secondary armor color. So if main armor color were to be no, it's not going to work. Wait, no, I'm sorry. Secondary armor color. Alright, see now look. See, secondary armor color is now the entire chest, right? So if I could get the chest to be that tan, right? Could I have the chest be tan and everything else be white? That's what I want. I can live with the hat also being tan. So let's play around with it a little more and see if we can do this. Let's make it a more obvious color. It's that, and then let's see. Go back in the props. Go back in the legs. Can we make these legs white? Look at that. Those legs are white and the chest is tan. Oh, those don't work. That may be even better. I think it's that. It's that. Now we got a tan chest, white arms, white legs. I'd prefer that beanie to be white, but I'm more interested in the chest than I am in the hat. Now, his shirt underneath these padded armor arm things is that secondary color, the tan, but really, I like, like what you see is the white on the outside. So, I think this is as good as we're gonna get. I think that I think that we've got Frostbite here. Now the other thing we can do, armor, like you could put armor patterns on it for like camouflage and so forth. I don't believe that Frostbite would require any. Hardly any of these guys I actually am giving any, patterns to, especially not weird patterns. There's a bunch of them. There's really interesting camouflage from all over the world. There's like a fantastic set that's like just all of these different international camouflages. A few of which I'm using. But by and large, not. And Frostbite in particular, he's not going to have any. So I think that's it. I think that and the weapon pattern. He could have a different weapon, maybe. Actually, let's do that. Let's give him Tundra. There we go. He's got a Tundra a Tundra looking weapon. Last thing, of course, he doesn't need face paint. Hardly anybody needs face paint. A few of them do. Tattoos, I just ignore those for the most part unless I'm actually going to do them. There are a few guys, of course, with tattoos. Scars. Only a few guys natively have scars. Scars will dynamically be put onto the guys during the game, which is really cool. I mean, you get a guy that's injured, he'll end up with, like, he'll come back and he's got a big burn across his face. It's neat. In this case, though, all of these things down here, I'm not going to do anything with because they don't really apply to him. So, let's... Last thing is to put him back in his... Oops. Dang it. Grenadier. We're going to put him in his actual attitude, which was going to be just normal Frostbite. That's not bad. I like it. Okay. Well, that's it for this video. I think I'll pick this up next time, and maybe we'll go in and load a game, and maybe do a mission or something. Look at some guys on the ground. That's it for now, though.